So at the moment, handheld gaming has seen a resurgence of late, and it's made possible by the success of the Nintendo Switch and what it's been able to do, not only as a handheld console, but a home console hybrid. It's kind of still captured the imaginations of those of us who have grown up with Game Boy Colors and Game Boy Advances and PSP and Vitas and that sort of thing. And like it's sold, 144 million units worldwide, which it was on track to be the most sold console of all time. Which, okay, I just need to take it to the side. So PlayStation suddenly managed to find 4 million more units. They only actually made 160 something million units. They're saying that they've sold nearly 100% of all manufactured consoles.
I mean,
get the fuck out of here.
They stuck in the as soon as Nintendo. I mean, it was a big coincidence, but it was like as soon as they felt Nintendo getting close, we just found another 5 million.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. When?
Yeah.
When? In the last couple of years? Yeah. Bullshit. No. That's what? You're selling a nearly 100% ratio for manufactured consoles. You'd never get that ever.
PS2 is a special console, man.
What bullshit. Anyway, moving on. Handheld consoles have seen a success.
Yeah.
And both Sony and Microsoft are reportedly re-entering that market, or at least for Sony, they're re-entering it after the massive success of the PlayStation Vita. Microsoft are considering getting into it, and there has been talk already. So we've already got confirmation from Phil Spencer, who's Microsoft's gaming boss, about the confirmed plan for our Xbox handheld. Now, we have spoken about that in the last couple of episodes. We know that it's happening. He's already mentioned it. The quote here that we've got is, expectation is that we would do something within that space of a handheld game console. It is a few years out. The work that the team is doing around different form factors, different ways to play, Spencer's incredibly excited about it. Perhaps we should be too. Sony is a little bit different. So Sony, we've got the PlayStation Portal, which is a handheld version of basically a PlayStation controller, but it's like the same thing with the Vita and
it's a remote
PSP
play
with
device.
the consoles. It's remote play. That's all it is. It's not its own. Yeah?
And it now has cloud in other countries.
Yeah. So it's got cloud in other countries, not us. We don't care then. But it's basically a remote device. But Sony's talking about potentially having a successor to the PSP and the PSP Go and the PS Vita, about having its own standalone handheld console with the power of PS4, because they won't be able to do it for PS5 in that. So there is potential for that sort of thing, especially with cloud technologies. We've also got to keep in mind that Sony, I'm not sure if we can trust them after their recent iterations with handheld consoles and proprietary memory and proprietary, UMDs and all that sort of stuff. That's a whole kettle of fish. So anyway, I guess the kind of questions that we want to ask ourselves is, firstly, do Sony and Microsoft need to enter this market and challenge Nintendo? Can they stay within the lane that they're already in, which is the home console, or in Xbox's case, the game everywhere space with mobile and PC and everything else as part of it? What are you thinking, Josh? In terms of, I guess, for both PlayStation and Xbox, is this a market where they feel like they just need to have a competitor there? Or do you think that they are really gunning to take control of this market?
This is going to be very controversial. I don't... People talk about this resurgence of handhelds, right? And like Steam Deck and Switch. I think people forget that Switch, as much as it's a handheld, it's still Nintendo's home console. So it's not like there's another option to buy. You know what I mean? Like people, I hear these pundits kind of talk about like how, the Xbox handheld could save them or whatever they, like they need saving. But like, it's... For me, the way I see handhelds working for specifically for PlayStation and Xbox is engagement level devices, where it's about keeping people on your platform of choice
in your ecosystem
longer. Yes. So people clearly still want consoles. As much as some people may tell you that consoles are dying, they're not, right? They're selling incredibly well. Again, the Switch is nearly outselling the best console of all time. PlayStation 5 is probably on track to eclipse PS4 and sell well through over 120 million units. It's really just one of the three that's struggling, right? So I think what's happened, or what is happening, is I don't think Microsoft and Sony should have, Sony particularly, because they were in that space before, but Microsoft as well, shouldn't concede that space to, Valve or Nintendo. There is people that would, one, double dip if it was a handheld device and then they still sold a whole home console. I'll be one of them. Like, I would buy a PlayStation handheld and the console. That's the first thing. Two, if there is See, the power of Valve and the Steam Deck is that it takes a already established library on the go, right? You don't buy games specifically for Steam, the Steam Deck. You buy games on Steam, and if they're compatible, Steam, and if they're compatible, you play them on the Steam Deck, right? So, obviously Microsoft and Sony know this, so they're not building a handheld like PSP and Vita was, where it's an established separate library. What they're trying to do is build companion pieces for their ecosystem for the people that want that experience. Does it need to sell like PSP numbers and sell another 80 million? Like, we're not going to get a handheld selling 80 million and a console selling 100 million. No. What it might be is a console that sells 100 million, and instead of, say, like the PS6, right? So say PS5 lands at 130 million, right? Going into PS6, I wouldn't expect that to jump to 200 million once they have a handheld. It might jump to 140. They might get another 10 million units. But where that's different to Vita being a failure, quote unquote, with 14 plus million units, is that's a dedicated handheld, dedicated set of games, dedicated set of developers developing for that handheld, dedicated store, dedicated UI, all this and that. If now these just become companion pieces that run, let's take PlayStation in this instance, run PS6 or PS5 on a handheld, all of a sudden it doesn't have to blow up and be this, 50 million unit selling thing. If ultimately your hardcore consumer, markets around the world that don't play console consume it, right? Think Japan. Think about what Sony could do in Japan with a handheld, right? They've lost footing to Nintendo, clear as day. Being someone that's been in Japan, they love their handhelds. They could potentially squeeze another 5-10 million units of PlayStation hardware in a handheld form just in Japan alone over the lifetime. So if it's a device to keep people on the brand, keep people playing, keep people subscribing to PS Plus, and this is all the same for Xbox too. I'm just using PlayStation in this example. Yeah. Keep people buying microtransactions and doing all those different things. I think 100% both manufacturers should do it. I think also, and I don't mean to steal the limelight, so feel free to jump in. I also think they're going to have very different value propositions for what these handhelds are and do. I'll leave it there. I'll let you.
I think so too, because at the end of the day, whatever PlayStation device is going to be PlayStation themed. It's going in terms of the operating system and everything that it plays on. When you're looking at something like Xbox can play on your phone. It can play on your PC. The device itself is rudimentary. It doesn't matter what device you're playing on, as long as you're playing in the Xbox ecosystem, whether that's through Game Pass or digitally purchased games. Like, the Switch is different because the Switch is one console that does all of it.
And it's Nintendo.
It's Nintendo. But now you're looking at home consoles that are trying to attract players who don't have the home console connected to the TV. That's at the end of the day, that's where this market is. It's not necessarily you'll get the double dippers like yourself and probably me, where I've got the home console connected to the TV, but maybe I'll have the handheld as well. I can play the same games, but I can do it handheld and I can do it anywhere. I don't have to worry about remote play or anything like that. It's the same stuff, same experience. yeah, okay, the graphics might be a little bit different, but it's a handheld, it's different. But Nintendo is like, you take that one console and you take it anywhere you want.
Yeah.
You can connect it to any TV you want, like that sort of thing. So
Yeah.
Nintendo's already up, and that's why Nintendo's so successful. I think at the end of the day, it's a smart decision for PlayStation because it, as you said, it gets that extra little bit of customers. You're not going to get, you're not going to sell 30 million units or 40 million units on a handheld that does the same things that a PS5 does.
Yeah.
Or a PS6. You're not going to get that.
No.
You're going to get the, okay, well, I've got kids and I don't want them to be connected to the TV all the time. At the moment, your answer is get a Switch.
Or they're playing on the TV, and I want to still be able to play my console games. Yeah.
At the moment, the selling point is the Switch. But now you can say, oh, but PlayStation's also got one. Oh, PlayStation. Okay,
Yeah.
I know what a PlayStation is.
Yeah.
You're getting that sort of marketing. Xbox though, I don't know. This is where.
What are your thoughts on the?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on? I'm not calling people out here, but I watched a video from Destin Legary, who's an IGN person, right? And he was talking about Phil Spencer made comments once around how he would love to open up their ecosystem to like other storefronts, like to Epic or to Steam.
Yep.
And every Xbox person seems to be under the impression that the Xbox handheld will have multiple storefronts that you can access your Steam library on. You can access your, maybe Epic's a lie, I don't know, but they would open it up. What's your thoughts on that?
No. Well, okay. Out of the two of us, I guess I'm the resident Xbox person for sure. just
By nature.
Yeah, by nature. I don't think that's going to happen.
Okay.
I think if anything, you're looking at like the Asus, the ROG. You're looking at those sorts of consoles where, you know, if they've got an operating system that will function, that will allow you to have Game Pass, that will allow you to have Steam. Like that was kind of like when the Steam Deck was first announced and we were talking about, hey, there's a real possibility that you could have like Game Pass on there, depending on if you were going to, you know, basically jailbreak it and have it running a Windows operating system, because that's all you need. You're not going to get that with the Steam Deck because the Steam Deck has a Steam operating system.
It's got Linux, right?
You're not going to get that with an Xbox handheld because I think it's going to be tied in. I don't think it's going to be like a Windows 11.
That's exactly
that's
it.
The thing.
That's
I know exactly where you're going with it. Like if it was a Windows 11 platform that primarily ran Xbox Game Pass, could you theoretically have Epic? Could you theoretically have Steam? Well, yes, you could.
Yeah.
But that's the same thing as if you're jailbreaking a Steam Deck and having a Game Pass on there.
Yeah, like you do those weird like Windows View and then run it. Yeah.
If I was Microsoft, I wouldn't want that.
Yeah, because I mean you're losing like. I get that they're all about their games everywhere. I get that, right? And like people probably on PC in vast majority buy their games on Steam, even though they can get them on Game Pass, right? Because people are ingrained in that. And for two reasons, I don't see it happening. One, if I'm Microsoft, as much as I'm opening my games to other ecosystems, on my ecosystem, you're buying it through ways where I get 100% of that money. Like, if a Xbox game's purchased through the Windows app, Microsoft get 100% of that. Sorry, a first-party Xbox game purchased on the Windows app, Microsoft get 100% of that money, right? They would have to split some of that with Valve if a Xbox game was purchased on Steam. So, from Microsoft's perspective, who don't care about the console wars and like, oh, but then, you know, technically we could get PlayStation games on our Xbox handheld through Steam. They don't care about that. They care about how can we get the most money. I don't see them making a gaming device. It's different to like an Asus doing it, right? Because they're not a games maker or manufacturer. So they've got no egg in the race, egg in the race. Is that what they say?
They're a horse in the race.
Egg in a race. That doesn't even make sense.
Egg in a race.
I don't know. They don't have a horse. that's a Josh cutout. They don't have a horse in the race. Timestamp that one. Hour and 22 minutes. They don't have a horse in the race. So for them, they're not a competitor. So Valve wouldn't really care. Like, okay, you know, if it's running our stuff, we're making the money, whatever. But I mean, for Microsoft, wouldn't they be like, no, if you're buying our tech, we want you buying our games through our ecosystem. I don't know. You maybe you can jailbreak it, and that's the whole thing. But I think it's wishful thinking to think that Microsoft and Valve are just going to be like, we'll just put it on there and we'll sell Call of Duty on Steam. We'll give our people the option to buy it on Steam, and we only get 80% of the money, as opposed to, no, you need to have Game Pass or buy it through the Xbox ecosystem, and we get all that money. Same with all the microtransactions and things like that. And then from Valve's perspective, they've got Steam Deck. So why would they want to compete with themselves and buy the Steam Deck, or let's help Microsoft bring a even better device to market that runs our stuff as well? Don't think so.
I think it's even simpler than that. Like, Xbox have already basically said that, like, physical media, consoles, platforms, that's not their first preference right now for how they're going to get into people's homes. It's not going to be. It's the software. It's the digital platform. It's the Game Pass. That's what they're trying to push. Yeah, they're going to have their console. They feel like they need to still have a console presence, so they're going to still be part of that console space. Why would they invest in a handheld console? Because that's what this would be. Why would they invest in a handheld console and have competitors on there?
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense.
Makes no sense.
Exactly.
But everyone's believing it. I don't understand.
Because people are fucking dumb. Josh,
I get
people
it.
People are dumb.
Phil Spencer said he would love it, but Phil Spencer says a lot of things.
Phil Spencer needs to say that he loves everything, because right now nobody loves Xbox.
For me, I think I see for me, I see it as simple as this. The Xbox handheld is a Game Pass machine that runs the next gen. Say these all launch with the next generation, right? And the Xbox Series Z. It runs a version of Series Z that is weaker, that runs the games on, lower resolution, lower frame rates and all that, but in a form of a handheld. Where different to the Series S, where it was bottlenecked differently based on, I think GPU, is where there's a difference.
Yeah.
Like, it needs to be running basically the same CPU or the same access to memory, but just being able to scale the games back, right? You can't have it where it completely is
S, dude.
Undeveloped. But that's the thing.
It's a handheld Series S.
We've spoken about many a podcast around the Series S, and is it holding back this generation? I don't think it is now, because I think people have just gone, you know what, whatever. Like before, I think it was a bit more no, it needs to be parity, it needs to be this. It seems to be a little bit more flexible now. I think the idea of having a lower barrier of entry is actually a good idea for Microsoft. Having, especially bundled with Game Pass, it's like a great little budget machine. I think just they made a few fundamental technical mistakes that they could have solved for by maybe increasing the cost by $50. And it would have just allowed them to have that little bit of extra memory and that little bit of extra power that at least would allow the games to run and just scale them back, as opposed to it really being a bottleneck. I think the idea of doing it's still great. So, I came into that thought in my mind. I'm like, okay, if PlayStation's going to do a handheld, are we going to get our own Series S over here where it's it's holding back the PS6? Potentially. I
think there's more of a worry with PlayStation.
There is, but there's also, I think, things change, right? Like from Xbox One to Xbox Series, the stuff that seemed, what are you guys doing, is now the expected experience today. Digital games and all those things that they spoke about, and all in one box. That's what we've got today. It just wasn't ready 10 years ago. So maybe the idea of having a Series S type device, whether it's a handheld or not, is smart. It was just executed wrong. And perhaps in 10 years, technology's got to a point and game development's got to a point. Because you think about it, right? PS4, there's a cutoff between games launching on PS3 to PS4. It was pretty quick. We are still very much getting games on PS4. So with PS6, I would suspect that the PS5 is still going to be extremely relevant for a long time, because games are now at a point that every iteration is just adding more power, that it's allowing for the games to run quicker, load faster, ray tracing, higher frames, higher fidelity. But the games themselves are still... You could get Returnal on a PS4, for instance, right? It might not be the same experience. You might not die and instantly load back in. It might not be as quick. It might not be as clear. But you could do it, right? So, in the future, PS6, we're getting games at 4K 120, right?
Yeah.
If we're getting upscaled 1440p and 60 frames on the handheld, it's pretty good, I would say, for a handheld device, right? I think it can be done. It just needs to be... They just need to thread that needle, both of them, in a way where it's not bottlenecking their main console. Particularly Sony, who is very reliant on that console.
See, and that's where I think the main argument that's going to come with these sorts of handhelds is I don't think they're going to be native consoles in terms of you install the game on the device. Like, I think the option will be there. I think the option will be there, but I think it's going to be a huge push towards cloud gaming.
I think
especially for the Xbox side.
That'll be a massive part of it. Again, Phil Spencer's spoken about his preference would be to have these games run natively. It sounds like, based on the leak of PlayStation's device, it is sounding to also be a native device. I would expect both of these to be native devices with capabilities of... And that's maybe how you future-proof it too, right? Like, say these launch with PS6 and Series Z, and 5 years into that generation, like, we start really getting the games that take control of those hardware. Maybe by that point, you could have a streamed version of that game running on that handheld. And that's, 10 years, 15 years away? And the technology's there to support it.
I think it's less than that, to be honest. I don't think it's 10, 15.
Oh, yeah. Well, say 4 more years we get the next console, and 4 years into that generation, we start getting games that are, taking advantage of PS6. That's 8 years away. Who knows what, internet 8 years ago was completely different to what it is now. Like, that's what I'm saying.
Not in Australia. Not in
Australia, but in other parts of the world. Maybe there is I think basically what I'm trying to say is, I think the idea of Series S or a lesser powered device, whether it's handheld or not, is a good idea. I just think in that instance it was executed poorly. And I think if in the next generation, Microsoft use their handheld as the Series S, I think the expectation is different if it's a handheld versus a console. I think if a game's running at 30 frames at 1080p, you can forgive it more if it's in the palm of your hand on a screen that's this big versus a console that's plugged into the TV that's put onto a 70-inch screen.
That's 4K TV or something,
Yeah, so I think that's the first thing. 2, I think Game Pass and handheld just make perfect sense. Being able to just access your game, downloading them, and then taking it on the go makes too much sense. I can see it. I can see the cloud stuff being a part of it. I can see it. Sony's one, I think it's literally a... launch alongside PS6, might be as powerful as a PS5 or a PS5 Pro. Most likely maybe like a PS5. It runs all the games from PS5 back, right? That run on a PS5 today, like not excluding PS3, but all your digital games and PS4 and so on and all the classics. All the subscription stuff, all the cloud, all the remote play. And will also run versions of PS6 games moving forward, just scaled back. That's as... And we're not talking like how PSP and Vita were affordable. I think these will be it will be the price of what we think consoles were before PS5 Pro launch, right? Like, the expectation was...
so you reckon it's going to be a $400 console?
For a $399 USD handheld, potentially.
That's a $500, $600 handheld here.
Well, how much is a Steam Deck today in Australia?
You can't get it in Australia.
I think you can now.
Well, you might be able to now, like recently, but I think it's about 700.
$649. There you go. Bang on, right? Because I remember $399 USD was $549 because that was what the PS4 was, right? So $699. Yeah, I think so. And I think the PS6 and Series Z.
Well, you can get PS5s for $600 now.
Yeah.
So you're saying it's more than a PS5.
The world, now that PS5 Pro is launched at whatever it is in Australia,
$1,200.
That is going to be the price of the PS6. Thereabouts.
Okay. So that's Xbox and PlayStation. I think we've kind of covered them to an extent. Let's nod over to Nintendo. Switch 2, Electric Boogaloo. Next year? All but confirmed?
Next year. And I would say for price, what was the Switch release price?
$569 is the OLED standard.
So it launched at $299 USD, right? Or $469 Australian.
We're in Australia, man. You keep bringing US prices every time.
Well,
We're
you know,
Australia,
if you look at the analytics, like 80% of the audience is American, so I have to talk there.
All right, that's pretty fair.
Yeah,
All right, cool.
yeah. So $299 in USD, and plus this is how my mind works with these things. $299 USD or $469 Australian. I would expect Switch 2 to launch at best at $399.
Ooh.
So $100 more, which would
Yeah.
put it on par with what PS4 was.
So in Australia, we're looking at about $650.
About $599.
600.
Yeah.
Just
Best case
round
scenario.
it. Come on, $599.
Sorry, I'm a salesperson.
Come on, 600. So Switch 2 $600.
Yep.
Do you reckon in the first half of next year?
Yes.
Do you reckon by March or do you reckon by June?
I mean, if it's anything like the first one, by March.
They'd have to be waiting until after this Christmas period and then announce it.
Yeah, I've just looked on EB Games. I know it's a Black Friday thing, but you can buy a Switch now with Mario Kart and OLED for $479. Does this include?
Yeah, thanks for reminding me.
Just trying to work out if this
Probably
means,
probably includes a month of Nintendo subscription.
It does, but I'm just trying to work out if this is like the price or is this the price once you've traded things in. I think it's okay. No, $479. It's $449 if you're an EB member. Okay,
That's
$479.
correct, yeah.
So that's $479 Australian
told you that,
today.
dude.
OLED. Expect that to be at least $599. At least. I could see this being $650.
OLEDs are going right now for the original Switch at like $569 is the main asking price, and you're getting it for about $500 now for the Black Friday sales.
I could see best case scenario, $599 Australian, $399 US, or I think this could go $649.
Imagine a $700 Nintendo console.
I don't think they'd go to $700. I think that's too much, especially because like you think about this, the rumor is the console's going to be about as powerful as a PS4 Pro. And Nintendo like to make money on their hardware, but I don't think they don't need to launch it at $299 USD. Why launch a console for $300 when all your competitors are hundreds of dollars ahead? Just bump up your price a little bit, make a little bit more money. You're still going to be comparably cheaper. You're still the cheapest console on the market.
And you're still backwards compatible.
And you're Nintendo, mark my words, we will see a more expensive Switch than...
Do you reckon it's going to launch with Metroid Prime 4?
I think Metroid Prime 4 will be like the Breath of the Wild, where it's across both. It looked very clear to me when I was looking at the re-reveal of it, that it looked like it was running like the same thing happened with Zelda, right? When we saw it at the end, I'm like, this doesn't look like it's running on a Wii U. Something's not right here. So I think
a little bit better.
Yeah, it looks too good. So I think Metroid Prime 4 will be that. Yeah.
Okay. I reckon we've covered our handhelds.
Yep.
What about you? Do you feel we've covered them?
I think we covered a lot today, but it was a good episode.
We've covered a lot. I'll be honest, I haven't really been playing a lot of games over the last couple of weeks. I've been with the Christmas parties and such. I've been watching a lot of movies actually. I've been trying to go through all the Bond films, but now they've all left Amazon Prime, and I don't really want to get Stan or anything like that. So I've got to find other things to watch. But I do want to finish Pokemon Violet. I think that's probably the one game that I do want to finish, because I got a friend who's finished it, nearly completed the Pokedex, and he's like, "Nah, make a team, let's battle." I haven't even finished the game. What about you? You're still playing Metaphor, aren't you?
Finished it. 95 hours. My first Atlas
95
game.
hours. Are you going to give it a little review next episode?
Yeah, or? I'm not going to... That's why I'm going to save it for a fortnight's time. So here's a little teaser for those who made it this far. We're going to do our end-of-year wrap-up, Game of the Year discussion with a twist. And we have a special guest joining us as well. So I will be talking my thoughts on Metaphor then. But 95 hours is probably a good indicator for how much I enjoyed it.
Yeah, because you have so much time to play video games nowadays.
I don't, but this game became a problem because that was all I wanted to do when I had a spare moment. And thank goodness and God for the PlayStation Portal. Like, I think I probably did about 25 hours exclusively on the Portal.
So PlayStation Portal, not native, cloud gaming, by the way.
Yeah, all remote play.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Remote play on the Portal works fantastic. If you've got good internet and your console's wired, it is, I would say, in 80% of...
Yeah, go on.
I was going to say, in 80% of the cases, I've had flawless things. And then there's sometimes it's just like, ugh, all right, get up, reset the internet, and then it works fine. I still wouldn't play like Call of Duty on it, but for games like Metaphor...
It's a $300, $400 unit. Do you think it's worth it?
Oh, 100%. 100%. Australia is a very... again, if you have the right internet, you have the right setup. In other parts of the world that have faster internet than us, it is 100... And especially those markets that have cloud stream gaming available, Portal is it's nearly too good. It's like, it's awesome. It just works like very Apple-like. I just turn it on, the little Portal does its thing, and I just bam, I'm into my PS5. Again, I don't play like Last of Us on it. I'd be interested. I should actually try playing something that's a bit more, like Metaphor's turn-based. But I've played. Yeah, I might actually try. I've just started up Dragon Age: The Valguard. I've only done about 30 minutes of it, but I might play a little bit on that just to play something that's a bit more like action-based to see how it works. But like, I'm genuine. Like, I wouldn't try to sell a product. I don't really care if people like it or not. But if you have good internet and your PS5's wired, and you've got a use case for it, like if you've got a kid, or like me, I like to put something on the TV and just kind of have background going on, put some Seinfeld on, play some Metaphor.
So I can tell you right now, my home internet, I just did a speed test. My home internet's at 80 megabits per second. My phone is at over 700.
Is that good? I don't even know.
Megabits per second?
I don't even know. I just know I was apparently on a good plan.
Dude, yes. Like when you buy plans in Australia, they're capped at like 25, 50, or 100 megabits.
Yeah, I think I'm on 100. I'm doing the test now. I don't know if this is going to slow my computer down, but
you'll be fine. Speedtest.net, yeah?
Yeah.
The same website.
Yeah. So what's good? Like, what's averagely good?
Okay, in Australia at home, if you are over 60, you're doing well.
60 download?
Yeah.
Or 60 MBS, whatever.
Download.
Okay, I'm doing the test now.
And
I'm on 103
Mbps.
103 download. 103.
Frozen.
Huh? Did it freeze?
Yeah, okay, stop it, Josh.
I'm stopping it. Are you
Stop
there?
it, you're freezing.
Are we there?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna stop.
Might not be freezing on your end, but you're freezing on my end. So like, yeah, okay, you've got the fast internet, but not really.
103.69.
Yeah.
So
103, but everything else in the house just like
died.
shuttered for a little
You know
bit.
what?
Yeah.
It is the fault of my laptop. Anyway, this is the side topic. But my PC is not wired plugged into the modem, even though it's right there. It uses Wi-Fi, so that's partly why. I don't know. I don't think it has a Ethernet port.
Yes, it does.
Does it? I have to check. I haven't.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
It works fine for what I use it for.
You are the perfect person for a PlayStation Portal. Because you got no idea how a PC works.
Simple.
And you're like, I can't plug a blue cable into the back of it. I'm just gonna spend $400 on this other thing.
Yeah. But anyway, so yeah, stay tuned for a fortnight. We've got a pretty special episode lined up.
All right, we're not going to talk about Fortnite with the Godzilla and the
No.
And the Michael Jordans. No, okay, cool. Anyway, so I reckon that's been everything for today. I don't think there's anything else. As Josh has already alluded to, we do have another show that's going to be our end of year show in a fortnight's time. So hopefully you'll be able to check that out. Keep in mind that if you do want to catch us or anything like that, you can find us here on YouTube as well as on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, anywhere that you hear or see podcasts and shows. You can find us on Twitter or X, as Elon Musk keeps not being able to forget. He's X. You'll find me at Holly DePrawn. You'll find Josh at Joshua LaRosa. Hell, I'm even on Blue Sky, but
there you go.
Same thing, Holly DePrawn. You know what Blue Sky is?
Yes,
nice.
I just
Safe.
don't have the energy.
Calm.
Yeah,
it's so calm. Anyway, Thank you very much, Josh, for joining us this week as we talked about your love and commitment for PlayStation and everything surrounding it. We get it. Final Fantasy is very much one of your highest rated games. Yeah, we can see the statues there in the background. You need to get some neon lights or something behind there.
I do.
I know you got the TV on, but your head's in the way.
Yeah, I know. It's not an ideal little.
What's
setup.
on the TV?
It's Metal Gear Solid 1, but it's just on loop.
The intro.
The intro just on loop. Yeah.
Okay. No, I saw like lights and stuff, and I think I saw the PlayStation startup screen, and that was about it.
Yeah, my head blocks it, so maybe it needs to be on the other corner. But
I think you really need to work that stuff out.
Yeah.
But anyway, thank you very much for those of you who watched and listened to us. Hopefully, we'll be able to see you in a fortnight's time. Thank you once again, and Josh, I'll let you close off the show with something, a final thought.
Get us to 50 subscribers next year. That's the goal. We want to double our numbers. We're better than what we're doing. And what else? What else do I want to say?
Native PS3 on PS5 or no?
Yeah, give us native backwards compatibility on PS5 with PS3. Thank you very much, and all the best, Stu.
Yeah, your mate.
Yeah, rest in peace. Bye bye.